Good evening, Nick. It's Friday and I'm getting ready to go to Detroit. Whoo, more road trips? Yay, I do love me some driving. So, Nick, I was thinking a lot about what you said about how we are voluntarily doing this. And I was thinking more on how I talked about the arbitrary things around us, and maybe think about the arbitrariness of rules. Rather the lack of arbitrariness of rules, Nick. Rules kind of seem arbitrary, they seem like we grew up in them, but like they're systems that developed over thousands of years. And so actually when you think about it, the rules don't seem like that arbitrary when you take it over that long course of a period of time. I mean, Nick, the foundation of both the rules that we follow in society and the rules that you and I follow for this video are founded in Roman law, because that is the dominant system of law not only in Western culture, but in the entire world. And so, yeah, we have a certain style. We have rules and certain ways of coming up with rules and crafting rules that revolve around that old Roman ideal. Yes, it has changed over thousands of years, but it's still based in the same general culture and the same general ideology as those people who were making rules 2,000 years ago. Technically longer than 2,000 years, but that's not really the point. But Nick, every rule, every law is built upon a foundation. Rules are based in precedence upon the old. You're able to come up with a new law that's kind of close to what the old rule was, slightly modified, slightly changed, and that allows you to build into a new place, in a new area, whether forwards or backwards along a scale, not like from bad to good, because that's not necessarily true, but on a scale from this side of this rule to that side of that rule. And it goes in small increments, incremental changes that make just enough adjustment that it's a new rule and it sets new precedents, but not usually enough that, it completely changes everything. I mean, Nick, I'm sure you've been in like an office setting where like there was not a rule in place and then suddenly there was this rule that just seemed to come out of nowhere. Everybody kind of knew it was a little bit of an issue, but we didn't think it was a big issue, and all of a sudden it just blows up, and the backlash that comes from a rule that just suddenly is suddenly implemented without kind of using that slide rule, usually faces just a lot of backlash, whether in the office place or in government. It's usually not happy-go-fun times. But if there's an existing rule and they just make it a little bit more strict, you usually kind of, grumble, moan, I don't really want to do that, but yeah, I guess I'll do it because you're already used to it. It's just a minor change. Those minor changes allow rules to become more strict or less strict. There are times where you can loosen a rule. Like, some people like to have that rule in place, and they might grumble about a slight loosening of the rule, but one way or another, it's the slight adjustments to rules that make them so much more bearable than a sudden implementation of a rule that doesn't have much precedent in a place. Which is why in some places in the world, whenever there's a ban on certain types of free speech, they're used to it and they don't see it as that big of a deal. But anytime somebody tries to ban any kind of speech in the United States, with our history, it receives usually a lot of backlash. Sometimes it's eventually accepted begrudgingly, but it's not usually, it's not a simple task. Okay, Nick, I need to get out the door before I waste any more time, so I'll see you on Monday.